Hello, everybody, and welcome again to the Reading Room. I'm Mark Reed, and I'm so glad you can join me. It's Friday. Relax, it may not be Friday where you are. It's Friday where I am because I am ahead of the curve. I'm a forward in time. I am the futurist. No, I'm just Australian time zones. But thank you for joining me. This is Friday's Fundamentalist Fails, and we have one of the biggest failures in fundamentalism today. Yes, it's Hovind. I really wasn't planning. I hadn't sort of scheduled Hovind out to do anything on him, but I sort of caught on his channel. He posted an interview where he went to a Christian channel called Deep Believer. I'm not sure how deep. That's unconfirmed how deep that believer is, but she basically did an interview with Hovind, and the amount of lies, the amount of misinformation. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust this. My camera's a bit. Yeah, that's better. I really think that it warranted sort of going through and sort of, doing comment and criticism on everything he is. Now, just quickly, Star Song in the chat, and I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. It's great for you to join me. Peter, always good to see you. Star Song, always a pleasure. Marty, good to see you. Al, great to see you. Just everybody's here. I just wanted to share the what Star Song was talking about, and that's apparently the Constitution of Louisiana. Well, the Constitution's in breach, but Louisiana has public school classrooms. They passed legislation to require to display the Ten Commandments. Not just they're allowed to, they require to display the public constitution. This is ABC News. It's an Australian news site. It's kind of government independent and not corporate. So it's kind of a bit. It's like the BBC of England. So I usually go to this, but yeah. American Civil Liberties Unions protesting it. Obviously, Freedom from Religions protesting it. Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. But apparently, proponents say that they're not solely religious, but also historical significance of the foundational texts of the. What a load of crap! The Ten Commandments are not the historical texts, foundational texts of the United States Constitution or the government. That's absolute nonsense. The whole idea of thou shalt have no other God but me, which is the first commandment, and you have the freedom to choose your religion, are antithetical to one another. So that is absolute nonsense. So apparently it also authorizes but does not require the display of other items in school. These include the Mayflower Compact, which is signed by religious pilgrims, and the Declaration of Independence and the Northwest Ordinance. So they're really ramping up to go, well, we want this nation to be a religion, based upon Christianity. Even though that's not actually historically accurate. Since when did they care about accurate history, right? But thank you. Yeah, thanks, Al. And I was going to mention that. So we hit 2K. We did it. We hit the 2K mark. We were hovering around for a while, but thank you so much, everybody. I'm amazed and bewildered and absolutely ecstatic. Tomorrow night, I'm going to have a little celebration. Come along, play some games, chill out. No serious stuff. No lion Hovins or theocratic pushes by Republican governors. Just some fun and games and unwind and talk about movies, talk about whatever you want, really. Just a casual relax. And I wanna thank everybody so much. Just to put on something for everybody. For it's amazing how much it means to me. Well, it's not really amazing. It's just I guess I don't say enough how grateful I am to everybody for coming with me on this journey. It kind of was I am by nature a very sort of solitary person, and I'll never win a popularity contest because I have a habit of saying what I really think and saying what I think is the truth. But it's amazing that you've all chosen to join me on this weird journey through just you know debate and challenging people on religious um, things. Thank you so much, Jeff, and thanks, Al. I really appreciate it. Um, and challenging people like today's subject. Hovind needs to be challenged. I think that he believes, and this is just my opinion, but I think he believes if he just keeps repeating these lies enough, everyone's going to forget, and he can just do this. This channel he went on had like 184, I think, thousand subscribed. Like, he just keeps repeating the same lies over and over, and it's important that we challenge him on it. That we get to him and say, hey, no, you're not allowed just to lie about this stuff and get away with it. It's disgusting. So let's start on in. I'm sorry I have to replace my beautiful face with Hovind's ugly mug, but there you go. Oh, the other bit of news I have is that the debate might be cancelled between me and Praise I Am, because Praise is apparently upset. He's really upset. He's been defamed by me. He's a very upset boy. So apparently, and I will hide my contacts here. I'll just make sure I've got nothing on here that can implicate Praise. Okay, excellent. I got to show you this. This is hilarious. So I woke up this morning to this, by the way. That Praise is sort of here we go. So I don't know if you can see that. Give me a sec. I'll zoom in. Due to the recent defamation against my guests and my channel. So I didn't really say anything about Praise at all in my intro. All I said was that he had a bigot on. Um, um, I don't I don't understand what I said that was defamation. Really, I just played the interactions in the room. Um, but I think it really Praise is scared. He wants to do is mutation and natural selection the best explanation for biodiversity? And so yeah, a little scared. I understand, Praise. This is a man that calls other people cowards for not following through on debates and things. He calls other people cowards. I think he's a tad scared. So next time you see Praise, just let him know it's okay. He can be a coward and scared and everything. That's okay. That's okay. A discussion can be cancelled me with good faith. What? Out of the two people in that room, one was saying all this stuff about the trans community just to, as he put it, make my brow furrow. And the other one, me, was having a serious discussion on trans issues and why the trans community are valid and should be supported. There was only one person acting in good faith in that conversation, and it wasn't the other guy. Okay. So yeah, so I do apologize. It might be cancelled because, well, apparently Praise has thin skin and can't. I don't know. Uh, I called his bigoted friend a bigot. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, maybe. Well, I hope you're feeling. I hope you're not feeling too sensitive, Praise. I hope. I hope that I hope that you feel better about things and that your poor fiffies are okay. I would say I'm sorry for calling people that hassle trans people bigots, but that's exactly what they're bigots. What as I pointed out, that's exactly the definition of transphobia during the conversation, like being afraid of people for no reason whatsoever. But let's get onto it. I'm sorry. I just had to call out praise because, well, I organized a debate that he is now backing out. Maybe I should make chicken noises here. Exactly, Super Squid. Yeah. Sucks, right? When you're being bigoted towards people and you're called a bigot. You know who talks about race? Racists. That's kind of the level that it's on. Come on. Yeah. All right, but now for the main event. Here we go. Praises. Yeah, it's great.
They got PowerPoint. It's like being in heaven with PowerPoint. But I traveled all over, 37 countries, traveled all over the world, spoke in all 50 states. Like you said, I was preaching 900 times a year, often 2 or 3 radio programs during the day.
He was speaking 900 times a year. Anyone do a quick math on that? Anyone want to do a quick math on that one? That is 2.5 times a day. Okay. Yeah, I think he's including his little radio shows that he does, which is sort of, I'm not sure if I would count them as speaking, like usually, speaking engagements. But okay.
Programs during the daytime and then a show at night, and
he is counting his shows. Yes.
I have 2 or 3 shows at night. I speak in schools, universities. I've now done 345 debates.
330, no, 345. That sounds better. Yeah. No. Look, he may very well have done that amount of debates. They're just internet debates. I wouldn't, it was funny when he was asking him, T-Jump, how many debates have you done? Getting all puffed up, and T-Jump's like, well, about 900. That's how many I've got on my thing. And he just like who measures their success by the amount of debates that they've been into, and he's never won a debate in his life. That's the thing. It's sort of, well, I don't think he's performed well in his life.
5 debates against evolution,
and yeah, as you point out, Al, it's not. It's basically the same argument over and over and over. That's one of the reasons why I stopped debating him. The other is because he's been convicted of domestic violence. But one of the reasons is because he just says the same thing over. He's got nothing new. He's the same broken record. It's kind of uninteresting to me. Like I've basically addressed all of the things he has to say, and what's the point? He just says the same things that have been refuted over and over and over. Oh, I'm very aware, Starsong. I'm very aware he thinks he's won every single debate he's ever been in.
Against evolutionists and atheists. I'll take on any you got. I believe the Bible is true. God made everything in 6 days, and dinosaurs lived with Adam and Eve. They did not live millions of years ago. So that really launched the ministry back in '89, traveling all over the world. And then one day, the SWAT team came to bang on my door and arrested me. And they said to the other agents, go through the house, get every DVD number 5 you can find.
Yeah, what a load of crap. They weren't after his DVDs. They were arresting him on tax fraud. This is what happened. So basically, somebody at a sort of, I'll just get the timeline here, but basically somebody had dobbed him in for tax evasion, and they basically had done an investigation and found that he hadn't paid taxes in ages. I'll just get the timeline here. Yeah, so the Pensacola Christian College senior vice president Rebecca reported her after she learned of his anti-tax stand, and he definitely has an anti-tax stand, although he goes into lie about that later in the video. So it was it was based upon all of these trusts that were organized by someone called Glenn Stoll, and he was a known promoter of tax avoidance schemes. So basically, he was purchasing these fraudulent documents in order to set up all of these trusts to sort of make it seem like he wasn't a business, but his employees considered him a business, and you know, the case that it was a business was very, very compelling, and the evidence was overwhelming. In 2002 alone, CSE it made 1.8 million in merchandise. It sold 1.8 million. On average, he made bank deposits in excess of $1 million each year, and that grew to $2 million each year. So basically, about half that income went to employees. Hovind derived several substantial revenue from these activities that appeared to be income to him personally. And that was Hovind versus the Commissioner, the TC memo, which I've had a bit of trouble finding, but that was the filing from the government. Give me one sec. It was the filing on the U.S. States Tax Court. That was the ruling that they made. I will just continue it on.
Fine. Number 5 of my series is about the dangers of evolution. Number 1 is about the age of the Earth.
Yeah, all of this is horse hockey. Nobody went after his DVDs. What's the point? He had them out there. He had them on the internet. He had them everywhere. Tons of people had a copy. What's the point? Like, they did not go for his. This is something that Kent has made up, in my opinion, that basically just say, oh, no, they went after me for my evolution stance. It's a big conspiracy. This is a lie. Nobody went after him for his position on evolution. Nobody did. Oh, and I don't know if you noticed. Look, right over there. Look, there's me. He's got me in the background. How nice. I didn't notice that. That's me.
Age of the Earth, how to prove the Earth is not billions of years old. Number 2 is about the Garden of Eden. Why did they live to be 900 years old? Read Genesis 5. They lived to be 900. And number 3 is all about dinosaurs.
Yeah, read Genesis. That'll give a unbiased, you know, accurate scientific account of the age people lived to. 900 years old. Not a shred of evidence for it. Not a shred. He just keeps on repeating it.
Of course, where they fit in. Video number 4 is all about lies in the textbook.
Is he wearing makeup? I don't know. It's very weird. I think he's wearing makeup. It's funny that he hassles AJ for wearing makeup, but I could swear that he's wearing makeup as well.
You can get the whole series for $50 at drdino.com. DRDINO.
Yeah, no, I'd really like an old VHS tape that isn't worth the plastic that it's packaged in, quite frankly. That's, you know, and now he's gone on to DVDs. He's just shilling for money. That's all he's doing.
5 is called The Dangers of Evolution. This is the theory behind Adolf Hitler.
No. It's not the theory behind Adolf Hitler. No. I don't know why you would. I am so baffled as to why that people say that. There were definitely eugenicists that sort of misapplied it. Definitely, there's no doubt about that. But you know, it's like saying, hey, that the gravity is the theory behind why people were dropped off buildings, kind of thing, or gravity was behind all these suicides. That's the theory behind all these. No, it's not. Don't be stupid. It's stupid.
Adolf Hitler wanted to speed up the evolution process by eliminating the inferiors. He thought that
no. He believed he had a divine right, that there was that in some sort of divine sense the Aryan race was chosen. It wasn't really linked to evolution. Now, there was probably some people in his regime that sort of applied that, sure, but that's a misapplication of the theory. It's not natural selection.
He thought the Jews and the blacks were inferior. He was going to wipe them out. Yeah, I made a good start at it. Okay. And so I went through the dangers of evolution.
It's funny because the Anti-Defamation League has a lot of statements by Hovind here on file as being anti-Semitic, because he does say a lot of that kind of stuff. Oh, you are? You are Big Bad Mama? Why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to me? Why send me that? Is this revenge of some sort? What did I do to you? The Betamax. I love it. How do you know I don't have a Betamax player?
Evolution on video 5. They arrested me and got every DV number 5 they could find.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No. Don't be stupid. Like, seriously, this is the most stupid claim that they cared about his DVD 5. That wasn't what he was tried for. Wasn't what he was sentenced for. It's got nothing to do with it.
Because that's the one they wanted to shut me up over. They took me to, I said, what am I being arrested for? They said, for structuring. I said, I don't know. What is that? So we did a program on that back last December 14th. You can see it on my channel, Genesis Baptist Church on YouTube, or Kent Hovind Official on Odyssey or Rumble, whatever channel you like to watch. I think the link is on your screen there or someplace.
Yeah, so it wasn't just structuring. This is the thing. And I want to go through this because it's really important what actually happened. Basically what had happened, and I want to take United States versus Hovind. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to stop this and present another screen because I found switching over kills the sound. I think that's what's killing the sound. So I want to add this. This is the 11th Circuit, United States versus Hovind. So this is the 11th Circuit, the Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. So it outlines basically what happened. So I found it a useful document because it basically outlines everything that happened. He appeals his consensus for failing to collect and pay employment withholding taxes, obstructing tax laws, and structuring transactions to avoid financial reporting laws. So it wasn't just structuring. This is what he liked to, I was just grabbed for structuring and that's all. No, he wasn't. It was failing to collect and pay employment holding taxes, obstructing tax laws, and structuring and structuring. The laws are written out here. So Kent and Joe challenged the sufficiency. They owned creation science, evangelism. God, why am that word difficult for me? Sold videos and literature, provided lecture series. They were charged with a 58-count indictment. Kent was charged in the first 12 counts of indictment for willfully failing to deduct and pay federal income and withholding taxes for employees of evangelism enterprises. So basically what had happened is, and the reason why he was convicted on withholding taxes for his employees is because he was paying them. They considered themselves employees. They had to clock in. They had to clock out. They got sick time off. They got holiday benefits. They basically were treated as employees, not as volunteers in any way. He is basically saying that they were volunteers that were working for a ministry. They weren't. The indictment also implied a provision of forfeiture, and we're aware of that. They took his beloved dinosaur Adventureland because he hadn't been paying its taxes. After the government rested its case at the trial, they moved for an acquittal on each count. They argued the government was required to prove for each count of structuring that the transaction exceeded $10,000 because the evidence for that each transaction was less than that threshold. So the whole point of structuring is that you're setting up transactions in order to come in under the $10,000 minimum to have to report that to the government. Because when you take out more than $10,000, you've got to report it and then pay tax on it. but he was taking out a pattern of every few days. He would take out 9,600, right? So he would be avoiding registering that with the tax department. He would be avoiding paying tax on that amount. And the law has clear rules for structuring, like how it is against the law. It's basically a way around that $10,000 minimum. The district court agreed with the government that the Hovind's interpretation of structuring was contrary to the statutes and denied the Hovind's motion. So he doesn't even know what structuring is, apparently, according to this interview, but he knows it better than the government does what the law about structuring is. The court later referred its decision on the motion and instructed defense counsel they will not be permitted to argue their interpretation of the structuring statutes. Correct. You don't get to tell the judge what the laws mean, right? As a lawyer, you don't get to do that. You can basically make an argument why they did not breach that statute, but you don't get to interpret, well, I think structuring is when you go over the $10,000 cap, which it isn't. After discussion of the issue, the defense counsel explained they intended to argue that the government did not prove that Hovind structured each transaction to evade. Yeah. They were found guilty of all charges. Jury found that. So this is a jury as well. This isn't just sort of a judge sort of making it up. It's a jury. They entered a special verdict against Hovind for the forfeiture of real and personal property attributed to reporting crimes. Separate presents 12 counts of the indictment. For the US sentencing guidelines, they basically spell out exactly why they got the time that they got. It was increased another 6 level for Kent's aggravating role in the crimes. And I want to discuss that. Why he got such a large sentence was due to how he conducted himself, A, throughout the investigation, and B, while the case was ongoing. So the report decreased for Joe Hovind, who really was at the brunt of Hovind's deception and lies here. His sort of reckless disregard of the law, they decreased it by 6 N levels because Joe did not act with reckless disregard to the source of the funds, and because the funds were lawful activity used for a lawful purpose. So it wasn't like they were avoiding tax in order to, commit crimes or anything like that. They just, Hovind just didn't want to pay taxes. They found Hovind to dispose the assets subject to the district court, and this is important, and this is why he got such a huge sentence. The district court found that the Hovinds had disposed of the assets subject to forfeiture. So basically, they were judged against, and because they owed taxes, he had to forfeit some of his property. And basically, he got rid of that property so he didn't have to forfeit it. That is not legal. He does all of this stuff and then blames everybody else. He granted the motion for the government to substitute property. So him losing his dinosaur Adventureland is a direct result of his own actions, because he was ordered to forfeit property, and he thinks that if he sells it, he can get away with it. He can get around it. Ken has raised multiple issues for our consideration. Their arguments fail. The sufficiency of criminal indictment is determined from its face. So basically, they were saying that the indictment was correct. Okay, that definitely was correct. The indictment sufficiently alleged Kent's tax crimes. And that's not just structuring. Don't forget, it's also failing to withhold for his employees, because they were employees. They were not some sort of non-profit thing. Title 26 required him to collect and pay federal withholding taxes for employees, and failed how he act willfully. So basically, he's trying to say, well, I didn't know. He was adequately notified of his offences to prepare a defence and plead double jeopardy in any future prosecution of the same offence. The indictment alleged that he violated section under the tax laws, incurred a tax liability. The government was not required to include any specific statutory authority for Kent's tax liability regarding his willfulness. And they put all of the previous laws and statutes that they're referring to in here. This is what the Court of Appeals does. This is the 11th Circuit. The indictment also sufficiently alleged it is structuring crimes. The Hovinds argued each of the structuring counts fails to state an offence because it fails to allege that he structured an amount that exceeded $10,000, and without this allegation, the indictments were defective. That is not true. That the entire point of structuring is that you have not you've set up your incoming money in such a way that it will not attract attention from the IRS, and therefore you do not have to pay tax on it. That is the whole point of it. A person is prohibited from structuring any transaction to evade the reporting requirements, and coming in them less than $10,000, that's exactly what they were doing. Kent indictment for obstructing administration the tax laws also states an offence. Kent argues the first time on appeal the charge failed to state an offence because none of the acts listed, which include filing complaints against the Internal Revenue Service and instituting bankruptcy and other legal proceedings against those agents, were corrupt. So think about this. When he got busted by these tax agents, he basically put in complaints against them. He put in legal proceedings against them. He basically tried to thwart them in what they were doing. So I've also got evidence of that. His argument misapprehends the definition of corruptly. Really, Kent Hovind not understanding a definition? Say it ain't so. He does this all the time, and he does it with everything. He basically interprets things to how they benefit him, and thinks that that is some kind of argument or some kind of. But this is the law. This is more than just somebody you can say, well, I don't accept that definition to online. This is a legal thing, and it doesn't matter what you think the definition is. It matters what the actual definition in the statutes of law are, and that's why you need lawyers, because they know how the law is interpreting these things. Thwart the efforts of government opens executing laws by Congress. Now, I want to just switch quickly into showing you this. So he did two kind of actions, both of which are pretty egregious, actually. And I want to switch quickly to this. This is Kent Hovind versus Scott Schneider, who is one of the authorities by the IRS. The suit against the IRS for harassment dismissed. So he harassed them with a lawsuit barred by an anti-tax injunction. This is the United States District Court, Northern District of, because don't forget, Dinosaur Adventureland was originally in Pensacola, Florida. The petitioners have filed a complaint to enjoin the Internal Revenue Service and agents from contacting, harassing, and trespassing on the premises of the petitioners. They're not trespassing. They have a legal right to be there, even though Kent Hovind doesn't think so. So Scott M. Schneider is a special agent with the IRS. He's conducting an investigation. He came onto the property located at 29 Cummings Road, that's Dinosaur Adventureland, with 4 summons. So this man was delivering summons, right? You are allowed to go on a property to somebody's front door to deliver a summons, okay? So basically posted on the ground of 29 Cummings Road was posted notice, this property is private property, no trespassing, special notice to local, state, and federal government agents, employees, and inspectors. Permission to enter these premises is specifically denied without prior written consent. Guess what? You don't get to do that. If they have a summons to deliver, or if they have official business to carry out, like they have a warrant for that address, they're coming on the property. Like, you cannot say you need written consent to come on my property if they legally are allowed to be there. Despite the notice, Schneider entered the premises without procuring prior written consent and served the summons. Basically, what Kent's trying to set up is that, hey, if he writes to me, I can just not be there. I'll never get the summons. I'm going to get off the hook. No, there's good reason why they're not giving you notice for giving you a summons to court. Because, like Kent does, he's very slippery. In my opinion, he would have just ducked and dodged. I mean, he had his passport taken away from him during this because he was deemed a flight risk, and for good reason. So these concerns stem from a raid that the IRS performed on his home. The petitioners also allege that the Internal Revenue Service are permitted to carry and use automatic firearms in the course of their investigative tactics, which includes terrorizing citizens of the country. Oh boy, Kent. No. So basically, the reason why they had a raid or they had armed officers turned up was because Kent has a lot of guns and he talks about doomsday. That's why. Because those people have to have a protect themselves against anybody that may have another sort of David Koresh or another sort of compound with religious people that fires off when they come on their property. So the IRS is pursuing a criminal investigation regarding his income taxes. The access would the petitioners would impair the IRS's ability to assess and collect those taxes. So of course it's struck down. For the foregoing reasons, they dismissed the complaint. It's dismissed with prejudice, i.e. that the reason why it is being brought up, they're liable for the charges is because they are doing it to thwart the attempts of people who are doing their jobs as required by the people of the United States. The people of the United States have placed these agents there in order to collect taxes from people like Kent Hovind, tax evaders. And he is a tax evader. So yeah, that's the first one that I want to show. The second one, and this one's actually more hilarious, is a Kent Hovind versus the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue. Now, this is 2006. This is still while it's ongoing. So he seeks a levy on the petitioner's property. So this is while the property is being sort of put into sort of having a lien put on it. I probably should have invited the lawyer. I probably should have invited Mr. Anderson. He can probably So all of this, and the reason why I got this one is because it shows what Kent Hovind's doing here. The respondent hand-delivered to the pensioner's residence as a notice of jeopardy. Upon being handed the notice, petitioner refused to accept it, whereupon the respondent's agents left the notice of the jeopardy assessment on the petitioner's doorstep. A copy of the respondent's notice of jeopardy assessments was delivered by respondent to petitioner by a certified mail. So they did everything possible to notify her. Based on the jeopardy assessment, they seized $42,000 odd in cash from the office. Petitioner requested neither judicial review of their jeopardy assessment, so they're starting to see stuff. Respondent mailed to petitioner of the above. So the petitioner is the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue. Oh no, the petitioner is Kent Hovind. Yeah, sorry, the petitioner is Kent Hovind because he's the first person. The federal lien under lien notice. Petitioner did not request a hearing with the lien notice. Respondent's postal service form certified mailing list. The respondent's notice of deficiency was delivered for mailing to petitioner. So basically, Kent Hovind just ignored these people and hoped they would go away. Like the IRS and the legal structure of the United States is just going to give up and go. A telephone hearing with the appeals officer located in Birmingham, Alabama, was scheduled for 30th of April 2005. It was later rescheduled to May. On May 4th, it requested it be rescheduled and relocated to California office. The request was denied by the IRS. The petitioner did not participate in the hearing, but the petitioner did submit to respondents in written correspondence, made a number of arguments relating to the amount of petitioner's underlying federal income taxes. So all of this is sort of, he tried to thwart the legal operation by doing a whole bunch of lawsuits, of legal actions against the officers concerned. He really did dig his own grave with this, and this is why it sort of says this harassing behavior of the defendant kind of thing. And this is what they'll take into account when sentencing. They're not going to just sort of go, well, if you acknowledge and accept that, hey, you've committed a crime, and sort of show remorse and stuff, they're going to be more easy on you than if you say, no, I disagree with your interpretation of the law and I didn't do all of this, and do lawsuits against the investigators. Substantial evidence established that Kent obstructed investigation of his tax offenses. If he corruptly intimidate or impede any officer to instruct the tantalize, he filed complaints and sued. Yep, went through that. And I just want to show he absolutely did. He filed complaints and sued them, trying to get them to leave him alone. It didn't work. So here again, he said, oh, it hasn't, exceeded $10,000. But don't forget, that's just some of the charges, right? He also had charges on not withholding for his employees and the obstruction charges, as he clearly did. But his entire thing was based around his personal interpretation that the law says that it has to be above 10,000, which is not true. It is not true. And, obviously the court doesn't believe that. Obviously the judges didn't believe that. Nobody believes that. Nobody. I want to grab, this is the bankruptcy court. Now it's interesting with this bankruptcy court. He actually tried to claim bankruptcy and lied about his finances. While a lack of good faith for the filing of Chapter 13 is not specified, language in the section, specific language enumerated, is virtually identical to the language of 11 USC and 1112 B. The circuit cause under the Michel consider lack of good faith. So this lack of good faith is that he basically dismissal of Chapter 13. So basically what he's doing under this one is basically filing for bankruptcy so he doesn't have to pay the government what it's owed in taxes, right? And this is what they found. They provided a dismissal, unreasonable delay, non-payment of fees, failure to file a plan timely, failure to commence making timely payments, denial of confirmation of a plan, material default by a debtor. So all of these basically, he basically just went to the bankruptcy court and tried to get out of his financial obligations. So in the face of all of the foregoing, the debtor apparently maintains that the minister of God, everything he owns belongs to God, and he is not subject to the paying taxes to the United States on the money he receives for doing God's work. While in his correspondence to the IRS, he denies being a tax protester, the evidence overwhelmingly establishes otherwise. Exactly. He basically refuses to pay tax because everything's owned by God. Now, you might not say, hey, I'm a tax protester, but that is the stance of a tax protester.
I did a whole show on what happened with the arrest and the charges. The U.S. attorney that was assigned to take me down because of video number 5 had nothing to do with IRS or taxes.
It had nothing to do with the IRS or taxes. That is a lie. It had everything to do with IRS and taxes. I didn't know Dapper was doing appearances. I'm sorry. I can. I can email him if you'd like. Sure, Rembrandt. I can email him. I'll grab his email address from his channel and email him if you'd like.
And so they arrested me, and I went to trial. And my attorney said, Kent, don't even give a defense. There's no crime here. They know that. The judge sees that. There is no crime. You did.
That is not what his lawyer said. And if that's what his lawyer said, he needs another lawyer. He needs a different lawyer. That is not true. Like, I don't think his lawyer would have said that. That's the thing. Because failing to withhold taxes for your employees is absolutely a crime.
There's no crime. You did nothing wrong. I said, I know. So then the jury.
I don't think that's what his lawyer said. And if he did, he really needs a different lawyer, because a lot of the times, and I mean, it's not like I'm a lawyer, but I've spoken to a fair few of them. They will say, hey, there's a high chance or low chance this is actually a problem. This is what the law is. It usually is very complicated. They usually will not say, hey, there's definitely this or definitely that. Lawyers are like Jedi. They avoid absolutes because the law can swing either way.
Then the jury was a hung jury. So they called a new jury, had another hung jury.
No, that is not what happened. That is not what he is lying. I challenge him to produce the court records that say it was a hung jury. I challenge him to. He's just making stuff up at this point.
The third time they called a jury in, the judge told them, find him guilty. So they did.
That is not true. That is not true. I challenge you to provide the court transcript that has the judge saying, hey, find him guilty. No, he basically said, do not listen to Hovind's interpretation of structuring because it is not correct. And it is not. It is absolutely not correct, his interpretation of structuring. I did have... I did have something that shows... That's okay.
Did. And she said, dismiss the jury. She said, now, Mr. Hovind, structuring calls for 0 to 6 months. And you've never been in any problem with the court, but your crime is worse than... I'm going to enhance this to 10 years.
No. Here, that's another lie. And this is what I mean. I don't know whether Hovind, whether he just says this over and over until he believes it, or whether he just will not accept what people say to him. It wasn't just for structuring. It was also for withholding, failure to withhold taxes from his employees. And it was for obstruction of those government employees doing their jobs. So it's basically obstruction of federal agents, which he did do as well. So that was the aggravation of the thing. It's why Joe Hovind, who didn't obstruct, got things. But it goes further because we basically know, and we have on record of him basically in prison. He made phone calls, and at one part he's basically he did tell people, his son and his wife, to try to hide some of his assets. So I'm just going to play this for you.
And legally, and I do not want to switch horses midstream. When this is over, we may want to sit down with Glenn and say, okay, Glenn, look, we have a lot of problems here. Would you transfer ownership and then, to somebody else, or should we become a corporation, or whatever, That's right now, we've got to stay 100% united. He is it. We're stuck. Where's the mule?
Not here.
Oh, okay.
It's on loan to somebody.
It's an expensive machine. I don't think there's any danger of any of that. But you take care of stuff.
Cool. All right. I'm trying to manage wisely.
Yeah. Good.
Is that all right? You trust me with that?
I do, yeah. See if you guys can order home.
Well, I don't know if the motorhome is coming back here.
Oh, yeah, it is.
You think?
Yeah. Talk to Eric about that. Yeah, it's not a problem.
Okay.
Oh, my mom said something today about how the government's trying to file, or either the government or IRS is trying to put liens on all the other properties.
How does she know that?
I guess she talked to Behringer this morning, and Behringer said something about that. So I'm trying to find out more about that.
Don't tell Behringer anything. He should not even know there are other properties. They're all different trusts. I mean, that's all Glenn has to do all that. Behringer's sticking his nose in where he doesn't belong. This case is against Kenton and Joe Hovind. It has nothing to do with CSE. It has nothing to do with any other trusts.
I agree, and I don't know what Mom has told him, and I doubt she would have told him anything like that.
But just be sure Mom understands. Don't tell him nothing. He's it's like, why don't you put Marcus Point on the list too, and we'll see that. I mean, come on. It's not mine.
Okay, so that's Kent Hovind from prison talking about how there's a motorhome that's not going to come back because they've got to keep another's name. And notice where he says, oh, they're in trusts kind of thing. So this is what we're talking about when we're talking about the way that he set up his finances in these dodgy trusts. And I'll just get the name of the guy. I think it was set up by a guy called Glenn Stoll. Now, Glenn Stoll was incredibly dodgy. He was a tax protester and kind of, unlike Kent, kind of admitted he was a tax protester. These trusts were not kind of legal. They were just set up by sort of a dodgy person called Glenn Stoll. Now, Glenn Stoll was basically a religious person or who was based in Oregon, who seek to separate, like this embassy of heaven. It seek to separate from secular government. Its members profess to be literally citizens of the kingdom of heaven and rejected any ties to worldly governments kind of thing. So it is a sovereign citizen movement, and none of the trust documents that Glenn Stoll put forward were legal trust documents. So Ken Hovind owned all this stuff, but he was using really, really fraudulent documents to try and hide all of his stuff. It was a tax avoidance scheme. Basically, here is a video from prison. I mean, this is the audacity of the man. He's in prison awaiting sort of sentencing and all of this stuff, and he's literally conspiring to hide his assets from the government. Like the audacity of this is like, he knows that or he should know that calls are being recorded. So to discuss hiding his assets on a recorded call from prison is the stupidest thing you could possibly. I mean, he talks about people being stupid. What kind of idiot discusses hiding his assets on a prison call when he's in there for tax avoidance? What a moron. Like, seriously, I'm sorry, but that is so stupid. And Maximiliano Bisha for $2.98 Singaporean. Expose this horrible guy. Love it. Yeah, it has to be, because he was on this program just spouting lies. I've never heard so many lies in so short a time. But this is why he got so badly done. It's because of his own actions. If he said, yes, I thought that I had taxes, I thought that, I thought that I was a religious organization, I thought this, I thought that, okay, I was wrong, I admit that, I accept that, and throw yourself on the mercy of the court, he probably would have only got a year or so. But instead, he wants to be belligerent. He wants to say, oh, well, I'm right. The narcissistic tendencies of the guy will not allow him to go, hey, I was wrong, the government's right. It will not allow him to do that. And that's his problem. He can never admit that he's wrong, ever. Like, ever. So, yeah, that's the man's problem. And that's why he's in this mess. Or was in that mess. But now he's going on to lie about it. Stop lying. He's lying.
Years. Structuring is where you take your money out of the bank in cash to pay your bills, and you do it in amounts less than $10,000. Have you ever taken out less than $10,000 out of your bank?
Of course.
That's what I went to jail for.
Less, so not more. Less.
No, he did not. No, he did not. He went to jail for taking out lots and lots of payments under $10,000 every few days in order to avoid not paying taxes. That's one of the reasons, just one of the reasons he went to jail. How many times have you taken out $10,000 a couple of days apart over a long period of time? I haven't done that. Has anybody else done that? No. And let's face it, it wasn't $10,000 because he would have had to report it. It was $9,600, $9,200, just under. Robin has gifted one readership. Sorry, Robin, I'll get to it. And it was Maximiliano Visha. Congratulations. Wow, Robin, you are on fire. That is insane. Look, Robin's a sharpshooter. You've got to be, you got to be careful of her. I'm sure that the police would be armed if they did a raid on her place. I tell you what. Wow, with aim like that, I'm actually scared. That's awesome. Yeah, that's structuring. Yeah, that is structuring. Yes.
Not more, less.
Not less than. Yeah, the U.S. attorney, after they put me in jail, he flew to Detroit. They arrested him and put him in jail. And that was U.S. Attorney John David Roy Atchison in Pensacola. Google it. He's the one who put me in jail for 9 years for taking our own money out of our own bank.
Yeah, and that's not the people that investigated you. That's not the person who took a thing. He's just found one person that's done something wrong in all of his cases and said, oh, it's just that one person. No, it's not just that one. It was the agents who investigated you. It was the IRS who investigated you, the judges that ruled on your case, the jury that ruled on your case. But he's got this narrative of everybody that has it out for me, basically. Oh, look, Alexander, look, it's impossible. It's impossible to pause the video and have Kent looking not obnoxious. I mean, come on. I'm only human, mate. I can't do that.
Our own bank to pay our own bills. There was never any crime.
Oh, yeah, this is the lie. Of course it's a crime. And withholding taxes for your employees is also a crime.
I did a whole program on a whole series of videos just on my case. He studied it intently. He called it Kent Hovind is innocent.net. He said, Kent, the government broke 100 laws to put you in prison.
No, they didn't. That's why it went to the 11th Circuit, and they basically said, no, this has been dismissed as a, you appealed this to the 11th Circuit and they dismissed it because of all the reasons they stated. And just because one of your followers makes a website doesn't mean you get out of that. You are lying.
You in prison. They wanted you in prison. I said, apparently so. While I was there, I wrote 37 books, earned 2 more doctor's degrees, led 800 men to the Lord, held Bible study 4 times a day. I answered 8,000 letters. I got mail from all over the place. I don't want to go again, but I said, half the Bible's written from prison. I guess, Lord, I'll just use it for your glory. So that's what I tried to do.
Wow, Ken, that's a lot. I mean, I didn't know the details. Like what, if you were
No,
to
you
look,
still don't know the details. That's the whole point. You still don't know the details. He's lying to you, lying to your followers because he wants money. That's why. That's why he's holding his DVD collect. Oh, they don't want you to see this. They took all of my DVDs. Make sure you buy one because they could come back. He's lying to you. And that's weird because I thought that sort of bearing false witness was a sin. Obviously, it's not when you're running a YouTube channel and you need to get, people on, because this man has just sat there and lied to your face.
if you were to look up your name, it would just say, Tax Hovind, he was an evangelist and debates atheists, and he went to prison for evading taxes.
Yes.
Well, they gave me 58 charges, 58 counts. 2 of them were not withholding taxes from employees.
Yes, correct. Funny how you didn't mention that up front. So, Maximiliano Visha, thank you so much, buddy. Returns the favor. I want to do this. 10 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. It's S. Ryan Donovan, Haywood Jablumi, Sydney. Oh, that's not actually one. You just throw one in the middle. Okay, well, Sydney didn't get one. How dare you, Sydney? How dare you use my voice box like that? Brandon Smith, Chris Peacock, Dustin Dobb, Nana Blooms, Missing Mod, Riddick P, and Simos Funk. There you go. I'm trying to do the wrestling announcer voice. I don't know if I'm successful. That's the best I can do. Oh, thank you so much, Maximiliano. On 2K is amazing. We're having a celebration tomorrow. Come by if you just want to hang out, chill, play some games. Not listen to lies spouted by fundamentalist people. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it, mate. I really do. You guys make all of this. I think that if you guys weren't round, I don't think I could sit through this. Quite frankly, I would have to skim. I don't. Boy.
Employees. Well, we didn't have any employees, and I was not authorized to do that anyway. And we covered all that in that video series. I did not break any law there either.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did, because you had employees that were required to clock in, clock out. They got holiday pay. They got benefits. They got everything employees got. You just hadn't registered as either A, business, or B, a non-profit. And I know you didn't register as a non-profit because you've said it yourself. And I want to go through this and show you this. Somebody tell me if the sound goes out. This makes me mad. So this is him explaining how the United States government works, which is hilarious. And it's very telling what you can take from this video.
Basically, God created the universe. We've got a little chart here behind me that kind of explains God created people. This would be Kent Hovind, John DRC, John Doe, et cetera, et cetera.
And this is John Darcy. He's, for some reason, he's a sovereign citizen as well, and he believes, in not paying taxes as well.
The people got together 200 years ago and created a state government. All of those states got together and created a federal government. And the federal government is supposed to be the servant to the state government. States are supposed to be supreme.
That is not true. No. Just because the states created a federal government doesn't mean that the federal government have to do what the states say. The Constitution is very clear on this. The federal government is responsible for everything that affects the states in total, like across the entire country. So, for instance, the mail system is federal. The taxation system is federal. Federal governments control federal things. State governments control state things. And yeah, if the states can't solve something, they go to the federal government. But it doesn't mean the federal government have to do what the states say. It's not. That's not how it works at all.
Right. Which goes into a long story of the wrong side winning the Civil War. Right.
Exactly. What was the Civil
Yes,
War?
he just said the wrong side won the Civil War. That's what he just said. Yep, you heard that. Hold it. Let me just go back and do it again.
The Civil War. Right.
Exactly. What was the
It's right. Which goes into a long story of the wrong side winning the Civil War. Right.
Exactly. What was the Civil War?
What was the Civil War? It's Abe Lincoln's war. It wasn't the Civil War.
That's right. It wasn't slavery.
It wasn't slavery, no.
Oh, no, but they just had it in there. The southern states had it in their constitution that slavery would be preserved. It's insane. It's insane.
Federal government created a corporate federal government. Notice it's all capital letters.
the corporate federal government created a corporate state government.
There is, and notice that's all capital letters. No, it's not. There's no corporate federal government. There's no extra government in capital letters. No. 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 Not at all. Not at all.
And one of these two, somewhere in here, created persons with all capital letters. This would be Kent Hovind with all capital letters.
Okay, so this is really important to understand, and it's something that I haven't really done any fundamentalist fails or anything on. But this persons with capital letters is a central tenet of sovereign citizens. It's basically saying that because on certain documents, like certain official documents, like birth certificate and things like that, your name is capitalized. Just that's the way they've done it on birth certificates and death certificates and certain things like that. Just so we've got one alphabet kind of thing that isn't upper and lowercase. It's just on every of these official documents. They think that that is being created by the government somehow, and it's not the same as you. And it's a central tenet of sovereign citizens that the capitalization of your name is a corporation and you are different than that corporation. Whereas in reality, all it is just your name in capital letters. So I think the reason why, and I could be wrong on this, but I think the reason why is because when they were putting everything on electronic files, like they were computerizing everything, they were basically putting data on files, it was easier to read capital letters. So I think they capitalized everything. There's no great conspiracy. There's no extra corporation. It's just that's your name in the records, basically. And there's no corporate federal government. Doesn't exist. There's no separate capitalized state government, because he thinks that the state government in lowercase letters is the real one and the capital letter one is a different one, because he's an idiot.
This is not me. Which leaves us with an interesting
and so the sovereign citizens think that the person in capitals is not them, so they can ignore laws and things, because the capital letter persons are subject to the law, but they're not capital letter persons. They're the lowercase letter persons and, the normal case letter persons. This is from a video that he made called Reclaiming the Straw Man, because Kent Hovind doesn't understand what a straw man is. He believes that the laws don't apply, or just the laws that apply are the laws that he feels apply to the lowercase state government, not the uppercase one, which is insanity.
Since whatever God creates, he controls, and we're supposed to be subservient to God. Whatever we create, we control, and the states, the federal and state government are supposed to be subservient to we the people. They're supposed to be our servant. But whatever the government creates, it controls. So the government has created persons, actually a corporate...
That is not how it works. That is not how it works. Representative democracy, you basically have a mandate from the people in order to govern. You can look at it under social contract theory. Basically, we allow laws to be imposed on us in the exchange of certain rights being protected by the government. But that doesn't mean we can just say, well, I have control over the government because I vote. No, that's not how it works, Ken.
Soul for every individual being in the United States. There's a corporate Kent Hovind and a corporate John D'Arcy, and they can pass all sorts of rules and regulations for their corporation, which they own and control and regulate, etc. Now, they're using my name, though. They created a corporation and chose my name to go on there and chose your name to go on one and everybody else's name to go on one.
No, they didn't. They apply the laws to you, Kent, and me, and everybody else. You don't get to say, hey, because they've created a corporation, I'm not affected by the laws, because that's not the corporation. And you can sort of see his affiliation with people like this Heaven's, what was it? The Kingdom of Heaven, right? Embassy of Heaven. Sorry, Embassy of Heaven. That basically has them saying, hey, we're not citizens of the United States. We're citizens of the kingdom of God. We don't owe taxes to the United States. This all falls in with this.
To go on one. So they've kind of abused their privilege and stepped out of their delegated authority and used my name. So that leaves me with 4 choices to take. Number 1, I can do what they say, which is what most Americans do. The state government can tell their person, you must wear a seatbelt when you drive your car. They can tell this person, you must file an income tax form.
Yeah, and this is the you must file an income tax form. This is where he goes down the sovereign citizen tax protester part, because he doesn't think he should have to do that.
You must get a social security number, you must get a driver's license, you must get a birth certificate, et cetera, et cetera. And they have the right to tell that to this person. So I can either say, okay, I'll do what you say. I can bring myself from here all the way down and submit myself under these corporations. Or I can try to cut the string between this we the people and the artificial we the people. I can try to cut that string. And some people do that with varying degrees of success. Number 3, I can look for loopholes in the laws and say, well, wait a minute, this law doesn't require that I do this. And some people with varying degrees of success look for loopholes and say, wait a minute, the state does not require persons to file a tax form unless they are a drug dealer from the Virgin Islands or live in Washington, D.C., or use a zip code, and all sorts of different arguments have been used, and some not too successful.
Yeah, so these arguments are sovereign citizen arguments. They don't have to file a tax form unless this, unless that. So basically he's saying that we can exploit loopholes of this structure that doesn't actually exist. This is not a real thing. This is all in Kent Hovind's mind. This structure doesn't exist. Really, it's just the state government and the federal government are kind of side by side. They each have jurisdiction over certain areas, but all in all, the Supreme Court governs over both of them, kind of. I mean, it's very, very, I mean, it doesn't govern over both of them, but it settles judicial matters over both of them. So it can tell states to do things, and it can tell the federal government to do things, whatever is against the Constitution, but it can't make sort of laws up on its own. And it has to go through a legal process in order to get there. But there is no corporate federal government, none whatsoever. There is no corporate state government, none whatsoever. This is all in his mind. And there's certainly no artificial person with a capital letters names that has laws applied to them that don't apply to you. Wrong, completely wrong. And this is sovereign citizen arguments he's talking about.
Well, choice number 4 is claim this guy. Say, hey, you're using my name. That's mine. I want it. That's what I want John to explain to us today. How do we redeem that straw man? And what does that mean, redeeming that straw man and moving him or claiming him as your own? John, tell us about that.
Well, redemption is basically very biblically grounded.
Oh, yes, right.
And it is the soul of
I get some flack.
So I cut out this. Basically, he goes on to sort of say, hey, according to God, who's at the top, you can redeem it, because redemption is in the Bible. It's so ridiculous. Like we don't base our laws on this silly diagram that he's made up. But what it reminds me of is all the evolution diagrams. Like he gets the wrong idea about that as well. And then he sort of makes up these diagrams that don't accurately represent what he's talking about. This is sovereign citizen language. This is tax protester language. It absolutely is.
From other Christians, because we have not incorporated. I am not 501c3.
Okay, did you hear that? Did you hear that? We get flack from other Christians because I am not incorporate. I am not 501c3. Does anyone know what 501c3 is? Does anyone know what 501c3 is? So 501c3, what that is it's tax exemption. Yes, well done, Rembrandt. Got it. Yep. So what it is it's tax exemption for non-profit, educational, religious organization. Right, tax-free exemption. But one of the things that it's for is for religious exemption. So he openly says, I did not apply to be a religious organization, right? I did not apply to be a religious. So he claims that those people were not employees, right? He claimed they weren't employees. But He never applied to be any kind of non-profit, any kind of religious organization, or any kind of organization that was a 501c3 organization. And don't forget, he was making $1 to $2 million a year under this. That all went into his pocket, right? So this is why he was convicted. It's because he was not actually running a religious organization. He was running, because with a religious nonprofit, you've got to put all of that money into the ministry and into a secured pool, which you then pay yourself from, because you don't own it under a non-profit or religious organization. Now, he can pay himself a ton like all of the other guys do, but Kent Hovind is stupid. So instead, he goes to a known tax cheat and sets up these ridiculous and probably illegal, in my opinion, funds that are just not against the law, and keeps it all like, you know, trying to say, hey, it's not under my name, but it is. So, yeah, he basically admits that he's not using volunteers, he's not using religious people, he's not using the people that would make him not a business. So this is why he got done. It's because of his own stupidity. And obviously he knew full well that he should be under a 501c3 and didn't want to be.
I don't want to take, God told me to go preach his word, okay? I don't need the state's permission to do what God already told me to do. And people who have taken the state's permission look at me like I'm some kind of odd duck, like, why aren't you incorporated? And why haven't you jumped through all these hoops? Well, John Bunyan spent years in jail over this very issue. He refused to take a state license to preach.
Right.
The government said, you must get a license to preach. He said, I'm sorry. If I do that, that's putting God under you guys. I can't put God under you.
Amen.
And so I don't understand why some Christians get bent out of shape with me about that. I'm trying to do what God told me to do.
Yeah, that's another interesting thing. We got these.
So these citizens' rule books, they're sovereign citizens stuff. That they don't accurately describe the rule of law. They don't accurately describe it in the slightest. They are nonsense. This is the problem, that Kent Hovind thinks he's an expert on everything, and this is wrong.
Citizens' rule books here, and in this rule book, there's a story. You know, give me liberty, give me death, about Patrick Henry. Which
Somebody spits on the sidewalk. He goes to court. You know, gets tried. It's obvious he broke the law. But is the law reasonable? And if the juror says, no, that law is not reasonable,
throw it out.
throw it out. The juror simply votes not guilty. Even though it's obvious he's guilty for breaking the law, the jurors vote of not guilty because the law is unjust, is all that's necessary. And
That's right.
Jurors only knew that.
Exactly. You guys sell
Jurors do know that. They can vote. They found you guilty, Kent, for good reason. And no, there wasn't like hung juries time and time again. You were just found guilty. But, you know, he lies so often, so frequently. It's incredible.
here, and this is just a great book.
Like $1 or something. You
Yeah,
got to give what everybody know.
You know, I really think people that, you know, they call them, they order some tapes from you. They really need to, you know, order 3 or 4 of these, because you need to get them out and give them to your children, things like that. It's an awesome book.
No, that's child abuse. Those are not representative of the law. They're sovereign citizen propaganda. It's just terrible. Like, this is not. If you need to know the law, see a lawyer. See a lawyer. Do not go to some huckster handing out pamphlets. It's ridiculous.
Now, all over Santa Rosa County, which is the next county over from us, and their court system is really having a good time because of this, because the jurors know their rights. You know, having an informed jury is just really helpful. So, okay, back to the McDonald's issue. I started McDonald's. I'm making a bunch of money. Things are going fine, but you own the real
bookkeeping problem because they've already borrowed money against it.
Right. So if a person, such as myself, stopped using their Social Security number 25, 30 years ago, okay, didn't use it for anything, I went down to the Social Security office and said, can you look up this number for me, please? My number from 30 years ago. Sure, no problem. Here's your name. I said, how much have I paid in? And I had paid in for several years, and all of a sudden there's 00000 for many, many years. But I'm still in there.
Yes.
I filled out the paperwork when I got ordained. They said, you fill out these papers, you can drop out of Social Security. I did all that. Well, guess what? They still have me.
Yes.
So the options are try to fight that the rest of your life, or accept it, ask for a new card, which has a number on the back. That's very interesting. That's your account number at the bank, right? At the Federal Reserve Bank.
That's right.
So get a new card after 92.
Yeah, I don't think your social security number is your account number at the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve doesn't keep accounts for people. It produces money for the government, which I've got issues with that system. But I don't think that the Federal Reserve does not have an account for all of its citizens. That's the thing. You're completely and utterly, stupendously wrong about that.
Then, if you use that, you go through the steps of filing certain papers to privatize that, to redeem this straw man. And really, nothing changes much in your lifestyle. But you now are back up here as a free man.
Right.
Under God's authority.
It's kind of like when somebody accepts Christ as their Savior. What changes what the Bible's talking about.
Sure. Well, amen. Yep. Let's not get distracted. It's so easy on every topic.
Win
Distracted
souls.
with the basketball or distracted with And I've got some major Christian ministries that used to be close friends of mine that have blackballed me and ostracized me because.
Hold on. I did have this, but I want to show you this.
I have not filed any income tax in 28 years.
Do you want to hear that again?
I have not filed any income tax in 28 years. I have not filed any income tax in 28 years. If there's a law requiring me to file some, I would like to see it. I have the entire Internal Revenue Code right here, thoroughly marked up, indexed. You're welcome to check out anything. I know the subject pretty well. Of our number 6 of our series from creation.
Yeah, let's hear that one more time.
I have not filed any income tax in 28 years.
Yeah. He has not filed any income tax in 28 years, even though at one point he was making $1 to $2 million a year. He's a tax cheat. He's just a tax cheat. And from the previous video, we see that he had not filed as a 501c3 non-profit. So he was not taking this in as a non-profit, right? Or a religious organization. He was not taking it in as a religious organization. By his own admission, he is guilty of tax avoidance. By his own admissions, if you just look at the stuff that he said over the years, he is a tax protester. He is a yeah, this is before he went to jail, Joel. Yeah. Oh, see you, Jeff. Take care, mate. See you, buddy. He absolutely is a tax protester. Absolutely is.
Either. Then most of the accounts were taking our own money out of our own bank in amounts less than $10,000. Yeah, the whole thing is spelled out on that video we did back December 14th on our channel. Go to my website, drdino.com, DRDINO. It's got a link there to 9 different programs we're on every day. Okay, if you go to Genesis Baptist Church channel, the Kent Hovind is Innocent video series are on there. You can see for yourself. I didn't break a single law. When I got out of prison, came home, and my wife divorced me for no reason. We've been married 42 years, and so I moved up here to.
It wasn't for no reason. His wife divorced him, as far as I understand it, because he basically kept to this idea that he had done nothing wrong, and that through everything that happened, he would not admit that he did anything wrong. And he was really the reason why she ended up in jail. Like, he was really the main reason why Joe Hovind ended up in jail, because she didn't want to fight what was obviously tax avoidance. Like she didn't want to, but he absolutely demanded that they do all of these things that were horrible. Like, putting these complaints in, putting these filings in, trying to hide his assets in these dodgy, probably illegal trusts so they couldn't be found, trying to sell stuff so it couldn't be seized, trying to declare bankruptcy in bankruptcy court so they couldn't seize his stuff. All of those things are the reasons why he went for jail for so long, and probably why, partly why Joe went to jail at all.
I moved up here to Alabama. Somebody gave us 140 acres and started over with nothing. God's been really good. We have a blast up here. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland, Lenox, Alabama.
Let's reverse a little bit. So why do you think they went after you specifically for number 5? So they basically came in and
They
said,
didn't. He's lying to you. He's absolutely lying to you. They didn't go for him over DVD number 5. Like, that's just a big fat lie. If you look up the court transcripts, if you look up the evidence that they had, if you look up, he is just out and out lying. I'm really sorry. I can't remember this person's name. Give me one sec. But honey, he's just lying to your face. Either that or he is so delusional that he thinks that, I think her name's Jen from memory, but this, you know, I don't blame this lady. She's just being lied to. I'm really sorry, honey. He's a liar.
came in and said, get number 5 DVDs, get all the DVDs or cassettes, whatever back then that you can get for number 5. Why do you think they went after you specifically?
There are people, pinky in the brain kind of folks, who have a plan. They want to take over the world and have a.
People want to take over. Now we're seeing the conspiracy theories. People want to take over the world. You think that in their path, like one of their pit stops on the path to take over the world is confiscating some of your DVDs. That, I might add, you're still selling today. You held one up. What the hell?
Over the world and have a one world government. I was simply exposing this, how stupid that idea is, and how that evolution is the foundation behind it. Why did Hitler kill the Jews? Well, he read Darwin's book.
Because he thought that the Aryan race had a divine right to establish the Third Reich and take control of the world. But it was a divine right. It wasn't, I mean, it could have partially been influenced by evolution, but that doesn't make evolution wrong. It just means somebody has completely misunderstood it, which is what you're doing.
Darwin's book, The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life.
And it's funny, the guy who mentioned the Jews, I just showed footage about, he said that during the revolution, the wrong people won. Just saying. Just saying.
Read that book and said, wow, who's the favored race of humans? It's got to be the Germans. We are the superior race. And Hitler had a list. I've got it on my video 5, if you watch it, which is still part of the series, by the way. Hitler's hit list, who he wanted to kill next. He hated Jews. He thought they were inferior species. Right above them was the blacks. Hitler hated black people. And when Jesse Owens...
according to you, the wrong people won the Civil War, Kent, so I wouldn't be too quick to point out that black people were not liked by Adolf Hitler. Interesting fact, though, Adolf Hitler actually was the first leader to congratulate, well, actually the US, who was it? A black guy won a gold medal in the Olympics. And Adolf Hitler congratulated him, but the US president did not, which says a lot, really. God, I'm mentally blanking on his name. Owens, Jesse Owens. So in 1936, he said that Adolf Hitler congratulated him on the gold medal win, but he was snubbed by Roosevelt after winning a gold medal. And that was in the 1936 Berlin Olympics. Yeah, Jesse Owens. Thank you, Deviant. Thank you. Where does he say that about Civil War? Really? You expect me to go back? Oh, fuck's sake. All right. Okay, I'm not sure. I would have to go over the whole thing again. I can't, Robin. I'm really sorry. I can't. But definitely, I can send you the video that it's in. How about that? How's that for a compromise? Give me 1 sec, and I'll shoot it over to you. And if you can tell me the timestamp, I'll definitely play it again. No doubt about it. Where are you? There you are. Oh, I can't. Okay, it's too big. All right, I'll sort something out in the future. All right. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah. No worries.
And when Jesse Owens, the black American athlete, won the most gold medals at the Olympics in Berlin, 1936, Hitler was so angry he walked out of the stadium.
No, he didn't. He actually congratulated Owens, and Roosevelt didn't. That is another lie. That's another lie.
Shake his hand. So I simply exposed how
No, that's a lie. That is an absolute lie. That is an absolute that was an absolute lie. After the Olympics ended, stories claiming that Owens had been snubbed by Hitler circulated wildly. Although Owens himself initially insisted it was not true, he later claimed it was. Okay. It is true that he did not shake hands. Okay, well, maybe he's right. He didn't congratulate any gold medalists after the first day of competition. Owens was not personally snubbed by Hitler. He was basically, Hitler snubbed everybody. He did feel he'd been snubbed by somebody, Roosevelt. Hitler didn't snub me. It was Roosevelt who snubbed me. The president didn't even send me a telegram. So, yeah, Roosevelt as well. But look, Hitler's a terrible person. We know this. That's understandable. It's not because of evolution.
How evolution is the foundation philosophy behind racism, communism, Nazism. The founders of this country said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. They're endowed by their creator with certain rights. Where do rights come from? Do rights come from the creator, or do rights come from government? Do you have the right to drive because the government tells you can drive? Or is that the right to move,
No, it's a right to drive a car, yes, because the government allows only people with the training and the experience to be able to drive cars. Because if we just let people drive cars willy-nilly, there would have a problem. What are you talking about? Like, should we just let anybody drive, whoever decides to drive? See, this is the thing. That kind of used to happen, and there's a reason why we don't allow that anymore. It's because things get dangerous. Idiots like you do whatever they want. And they, why have any road rules at all, Hovind? What a moron. Like, I'm really sorry. I'm usually not that critical, but what a moron. Like, everyone should just be able to drive wherever they want, in any direction they want. Who needs road rules? Who needs traffic lights? Let's just do whatever. I don't know what, like, the mouse on this man's brain is obviously getting tired, because holy crap.
Right to move, This is a whole big can of worms, but those who like big government think government's the answer to everything. They don't like somebody saying, hey, we got some amendments, like the Second Amendment, the big battle they're having now, or all this kind of stuff, You have the right to protect yourself. So this philosophy, I ask atheists all the time, if evolution is true, like you teach, how do you tell right from wrong?
It's called morals. We can base that upon sort of what society wants, intersubjective goals for society. Because generally people all want the same things. They disagree on how to get there, but we all want the same things. We all want sort of safety, security, food, water, shelter. There's a whole bunch of things we can agree on. There's a whole bunch of things we can't agree on. But that's because no morals are the same. You're claiming objective morals and are a liar, a tax cheat, a fraudster, all of these horrible things. You've been lying for the last, 15 minutes to this woman. And you're like, where do your morals come from? Do you even have any morals?
Wrong on any topic. How do you? Where's your standard? Where's your measure? How do you tell right from wrong? See, they don't have a standard to judge.
Sure, I do. I have a standard. It's called human well-being. It's a standard of judging. And you know what? Human well-being is lessened when people get away with tax fraud.
Right from wrong. Evolution is a stupid religion, and it's the foundation for a lot of the problems we're having today.
It's not a religion, and I've challenged him on this before, asking, what do people who know that evolution is true, who accept evolution, what are they worshipping? You have to worship something for it to be a religion. What do they worship? Because it certainly isn't the evolutionary process. We don't worship that. It's quite a brutal process. So, it sort of isn't we don't worship Darwin. We don't worship science. We don't worship anything. There's no worship anywhere in it. But you worship God. That's why it's a religion. Now, you can quibble about religion. And what he's doing here is the Kentflation, or the Kent-Hovind conflation. He's basically trying to say, well, you do something religiously, right? Like you watch basketball religiously, therefore it's a religion. And I'm going to say you study evolution. Your scientists study evolution religiously. So I'm going to use that word to mean it's a religion. No, that's just conflation and word games. It's semantics. It's just word games. That's all it is. Then it's not a religion. It's not at all. And unless you can tell me what we're worshipping, does that mean that everybody that studies evolution should have a religious exemption? Of course not.
We're having today. So I've got all that on video number 5. Get the whole series for $50. When you're done watching,
and this is the real reason he's there, to shill his stuff. That's why he's there.
Get your money back. Jennifer, I used to loan my DVDs out when I first got started. I learned immediately Christians don't steal, but they borrow and never return. So you buy it for $50 and then you can send it back, get your money back. Meanwhile, I got the $50. Okay.
Okay. Oh my gosh. That's a lot. I mean, you packed a lot right there. I want to talk a little bit about,
a lot of lies. Yeah. He's sitting there and lying to your face. And we've got, like, sort of over on the side that doesn't believe him, we've got the receipts to prove it. It's just, I don't think that this Jen person is actually going to look into who she's talking to.
I want to go back a little bit about what you said, how they came for that one video, that one number 5.
Right.
Do you believe that they came after you specifically because you were making such an impact around the world on that one video? Because, I mean, if they didn't feel like you were a threat, they wouldn't have come after you. So were a lot of people buying your books? Was a lot of people following what you were teaching and finding out that, oh my gosh, this is more than likely true?
Right. I would say a loud voice against the evil going on in government. I don't want to fight all those battles. I want to stick on creation evolution, but I understand there's lots of other battles need to be fought, and that's one that ought to be fought. Then the IRS agent that came in to raid the church ministry with him, he forced my wife to open the safe. And we had about 25 college students that helped us whenever they had free time. So we dealt with cash quite often, and they would fill out their own stuff at the end of the year. And so we had about $40,000 in cash in the safe that was used for all the bills we paid, because we had a lot of subcontractors and stuff. Well, the IRS agent counted up the money in the safe, made out a tax bill for the exact amount, and then took the money and stole it.
No, they had a lien on your property and assets, Kent. They had a legal right to claim what taxes you avoided. And the reason why they gave you a tax document was to say, hey, we have taken this in lieu of the taxes you didn't pay and admitted not to pay. You said you didn't pay taxes for 28 years. What do you think happens when you don't pay taxes for 28 years and are pocketing 1 million, 2 million a year? What do you think? Like, the stupidity of this man is astounding.
Stole it. He made up the tax bill on the spot and stole all that exact same amount out of our church safe.
Wow. Yeah, so you weren't able to recover anything?
I was gone. I was in prison. I mean, right away, banged up prison. No, it's not over yet. We're going to keep filing stuff till I die. Federal prisons is a joke. Okay. I wrote a book about that. I have my book here. Here's a book I wrote called The Kennel. This is about our prison system. I wrote it under a false name, Elijah Green, so I wouldn't get in trouble. But that's me now. Okay.
Yeah. So he wrote a book about prison in prison, basically. about how corrupt it is and stuff. Yeah, no, the best person to talk about with prisoners. Look, they're entitled to their view, but yeah.
Did you know judges and congressmen and policemen are allowed to own stock in the prison system? So the longer they lock you up and the more people they lock up, the more money they get back on their investment. But they're allowed to own stock in it.
Yeah, so this is sort of whataboutism and just trying to find any scapegoat for his malfeasance. There are problems with the American prison system. You know, I actually agree with Hovind on that. Prisons should not be privately owned and you know, have corporations doing prisons. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean, like, just because the prison system is incredibly flawed, and don't get me wrong, it is incredibly flawed, doesn't follow that you didn't commit crimes, right? He did commit those crimes. We have the evidence that he committed those crimes, and just because the prison system is incredibly flawed doesn't mean he's innocent of those crimes. But he's using it like that. He's saying, well, what about all of the prison system that's flawed? I must be innocent. How does that follow? That does not follow. It could be that you're innocent, yes, but there is a ton of evidence to show that you are absolutely guilty.
Own stock in it. I think that ought to be wrong.
Yes.
Because the judge is thinking, well, let's see, should I give him 5 years or 10 years? To them, it's just a number. Okay, they don't have to serve any.
That is not true. To them, it's not just a number. And the 11th Circuit outlined why you got the time you got, due to your own actions, due to your own belligerence, due to your own the lawsuits taken out against agents trying to stop them, about you illegally trying to cover up your assets so they could not be seized in that tax lien. The reason why you got so much was your own actions, and you refused to accept that. And that's, in my opinion, probably one of the reasons why your wife left you, because you will not accept that you have done wrong.
To serve any of it. But they're thinking, well, my stock, I'll get more money on my investment. Read the kennel. It's on our website. How much is this one, brother? Go to drdino.com.
Yeah, and here we have, you know, more shilling. Just trying to sell stuff. Sell. Get that money. Make that money. Maybe he's learned to pay tax on it this time.
And you can order on our website. Yeah, that's probably one they're going to hate me for too. I just like to shine the light, expose the evil. Half the Bible's written from prison, and so God used it in a great way. Okay, I love the Lord. I have for 55 years now. And if you put the Lord first in your life, He promised everything will work together for good. Romans 8:28, and it did work together for good.
So how was prison life for you? I mean, did they give you a hard time? Did the prisoners give you a hard time in prison, or was it? Did you lead people to Jesus while you were in prison? How did life look like for you when you were there?
Well, while I was in, they moved me 32 times. They call it diesel therapy. They moved me all over the country. That way, and we right away put in, paid how much money it was, thousands of dollars to get the transcript of the trial, because you can't do an appeal to the next appellate court if you don't have the transcript. So we paid, I forget, $4,000 or $5,000, whatever it was, to get the transcript, and you have to do that within 12 months. Well, the judge kept the transcript and didn't give us the transcript until 15 months.
Yeah, I don't know about this one, but it sounds fishy. Like, it really sounds fishy. I don't think you need the transcript to do a thing. I think that, you know, if you do a appeal, your lawyer should be able to get the transcript without a problem. I think that maybe he wanted the transcript, or he's just giving an excuse as to why his appeal to the 11th Circuit failed.
Until 15 months later. And then the article, the thing she said in there about this crime is worse than, that was gone to my judge. Somebody altered the transcript.
Yeah, I do not believe Kent in the slightest. I don't believe him in the slightest. And things are stricken from the record when, like the judge will say that should be stricken down, kind of thing. When somebody makes some outrageous claim when they shouldn't have, it's often struck from the record. I don't know what happened here. It sounds like a comment that maybe should have been struck from the record. I'm not sure. But I wouldn't believe Kent if he said that the sky is blue, because quite frankly, the sheer amount of lies he's told throughout this is incredible.
The transcript, which is totally illegal. She ought to go to jail for that if she did something to it. Okay. So the transcript was altered, and the worst comment was gone. We had 8 or 10 people that were in the courtroom, filled out an affidavit saying, I heard her say that. Why isn't it in the transcript? So by the time we filed the appeal, it was too late. It was, you got to do it within 12 months. So they purposely kept the appeal.
No, the 11th Circuit appeal was filed. I showed the outcome of their decision on the screen, Ken. Like, I don't know how he thinks he can keep lying like this when there's documents to prove that he's lying. But that's his problem. He always lies, constantly. Even though, I mean, the IRS go and have a look at his finances. They look at everything he does. They look at all of the evidence against him, and he will still lie in the face of reality. This is the problem. But, we couldn't, the appeal, we couldn't appeal. No, you appealed and it was dismissed. There's a big difference. And it wasn't dismissed because you didn't have the transcript and the court kept it from the 11th Circuit. That isn't what happened. Stop lying.
They kept the appeal, kept my transcript until the time was expired. So there's several things can still be done about that. God's certainly going to straighten things out Judgment Day. But federal prison camp is a joke. It's like in a college dormitory, okay? It's a complete waste of time. So I was in federal prison camp most of the time. In prison camp, most of them don't even have a fence. They just got a sign, don't go past here. You're pretty free. And so the federal prison, they have several different levels, maximum security, minimum security, camp. So I was in camp most of the time, but being transferred, oftentimes you're in county jail for a month or two, and that's the pits, the county jail. I asked over 1,000 guys this question while I was doing interviews for my book. I was writing my book. I said, guys, let me ask you a question. If you committed a crime, whatever it is, you're guilty, there's no questions, okay? And the judge said, Jimmy, I'm going to give you a choice. Do you want 5 years in prison or 20 lashes? What would you take? All but one of them said 20 lashes.
Okay, we don't do corporal punishment anymore. The whole idea, you don't go to the prisoner and say, hey, which would you like, kind of thing. What we're aimed at doing is rehabilitating people, which obviously didn't work on you, Kent, because here you are still spouting lies again, just lying. But we really want to rehabilitate people back into society. Unfortunately, corporal punishment doesn't do that, right? It doesn't do that. We want to make people productive members of society, and just lashing them doesn't have that effect. And I can't believe he's complaining that his time in prison was too nice. They put you in a sort of, first-class prison, not a lot of security. Yeah, you're not a violent offender. I get that. Well, you weren't a violent offender at the time. You are now. You are a violent offender. But, I understand why they put you in sort of a minimum security camp, as you put it. What are you complaining about? What are you complaining about? If it was so nice, why are you complaining? It's ridiculous.
Which would you take? Look, if you get 20 lashes, it hurts for a while and then it's over. You give them 5 years.
Yeah, that's the point. It doesn't actually rehabilitate anybody. They just go, well, if I get caught again, it'll hurt, but it'll be over really quick. That's the whole point. That doesn't rehabilitate anybody. What's wrong with you?
You give them 5 years in prison. What's your wife supposed to do now and your kids? Who's going to feed them? You think your employer's going to wait 5 years and give you your job back? It's a real stupid system that we have.
Wow.
So yes, I was in 9 years, nothing to be ashamed of. I did not break any laws, and I'm not a tax protester. I think everybody should pay. If you owe a tax, you should pay it. I've never been a tax protester. Now, I think some people are doing things that are illegal, using the government to hide behind, like stealing the money out of the church safe and claiming they write up a tax bill for the exact amount. I mean, to the penny. There's 42,000 something, right to the penny. Made up the bill. Hovind owes this amount. Take the cash.
Wow.
That's what happened to me.
So basically, you were a threat to the enemy's camp. That's what it sounds like. You were hurting the narrative.
But who's the enemy here? Like, he's trying to build, and I guess she is trying to build as well, this narrative that evolution and the government is this enemy against them. No, it's not your enemy. You're just painting them like that because you don't like them. Like, seriously. What?
Hurting the narrative that was progressing throughout the United States. Now, so were you influencing the rest of the world like you were the United States, or was it mostly the United States you were affecting?
Well, I travel to 37 countries and my videos go all over. We got them in 42 languages. So I'm trying to influence the whole world, bring people to Christ. I just simply pointed out on DVD number 5, this theory of evolution is not only stupid, it's dangerous. This is the foundation for communism.
Evolution is not the foundation of communism. No, it is not. And I don't think he understands what communism is. Like, if you look at Karl Marx kind of thing, he's not referencing evolution anywhere in there. No, no, I don't. Like, it's just, he's like, it's really weird. Kent's trapped in the 50s of the Red Menace kind of thing. So he's trying to tie that into evolution. I don't know why. Like, I mean, the closest Karl Marx came to evolution was basically saying that each new generation builds upon the other last generation's knowledge, but that isn't really evolutionary process.
Communism. Under communism, how do they tell right from wrong? Whoever's in charge, who's the boss? Is there a standard someplace? Is there something like "Thus saith the Lord"? Under communism, they don't have that. Nazism didn't have that. These folks that want pinky in the brain guys that want to rule the world, they don't want God telling them what to do. They certainly don't want people to say, we have rights that come from the Creator. If you get a bunch of guys together who believe they have rights that come from God, they're going to throw the tea in the harbor and start a big war. And they did. And I'm glad.
To Christ.
That was because they were being taxed without representation. And plus, don't forget that the king was ordained by God in England. Like, the whole idea that somehow that God wasn't involved in the English monarchy when it considered America a colony, it's ridiculous.
Glad
to Christ while you were in prison, right? And you had Bible studies, and
right.
Could you tell us about that?
Well, most of the guys in there are desperate for some kind of for fellowship with other people, and they need some leadership. And so, yeah, I led about 800 men to the Lord while I was in prison.
I don't believe that in the slightest. I really don't.
Study 4 times a day. Many lives completely changed. That's the goal. Like I said, half the Bible's written from prison. So it's a great place. I did a whole series of books called Why on Earth Did God Let This Happen, for heaven's sake? This is book 1 of the series. Why did God let this happen? Because when you go to prison, when something bad happens to you.
What's the shill count at now? What's the sales count at now? Is that the 6th time he's brought something up to sell?
Wife dies or children die. You're going to be asking God why. Okay, that's kind of standard. So I wrote this book. It's been very well received. People love it. Where's this? It's on our website, drdino.com. This is
drdino.com. Yeah, he's still selling. Yeah, this is about the 6th time he's brought up something to sell. This is the only reason. This is an infomercial. It's not an interview. It's an infomercial.
Some of the other 7 altogether. Some of the rest of them are up as ebooks on there. But just it's me writing on different topics. I would sometimes write to different Bible characters. I made up what we call email. So it was really a fun exercise. So I wrote hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails.
By the way, I'm not doing the cuts in these. These have been edited in by whoever this deep believer is. I don't know what nonsense he said in between, but, I suppose if you're going to cut out all the lies that Kent says, you're going to be cutting the entire thing.
Emails, collected them into book form, just in strict chronological order from the time I started.
To clarify, I did cut out an ad in the middle and I cut some other parts that were sort of not relevant kind of thing. So I did cut bits and pieces, but most of these are not my cuts. They're not mine.
Let's see. Went to prison November of 06. My first email is November 06. A letter from God to John the Baptist. John the Baptist is about to be beheaded. He says, Lord, why did this happen? So the Lord writes to him, Dear John the Baptist, and you can read the story for yourself. I don't know if God would have said that. That's what I said. Okay. So it was a fun exercise.
Now, how did your family take it when you were away? I mean, were your children young? Who took care of your wife? How did they cope with it?
Well, I have 3 children, 1 of each. No, that's a joke. Come on now. My son, Eric, had been traveling and speaking some on creation. He'd gone to Jackson Hole Bible College and had graduated by then when they arrested me. I said, Eric, I'm going to prison. You take charge. And he did a great job.
Yeah, and he hates you because you would not admit that you had done wrongdoing. Presumably, that's my opinion. I think that you're a liar and you lie all the time. and you got his mother put in prison because she, as far as I know, and I could be wrong, but she didn't want to do any of this. But your wives get told they have to submit to their husband. That's a problem with religion, that the man is in charge, that he calls the shots. And that's the problem. That's the problem.
And he did a great job, took care of my wife, and kept the ministry going for the 9 years I was in prison. And he still, I had lunch with him last 2 days ago. Yeah, down in Pensacola. He's still traveling. He's got his own ministry now called Creation Today. He's down there in Pensacola. Same house.
Last I heard that Eric Hovind wasn't talking to Ken, as last I heard. So, maybe he did. I don't know. But as far as I know, he wasn't even talking to him.
Same house, same place.
So let's go back to a little bit when you mentioned Hitler and how they imprisoned you because of basically you were going against the grain.
What do you mean by weird audio? Is it squelching or something? What's up, Joel? Roboting. Okay. Give me a sec. I've had this before. Give me 1 second and I will fix it. Hello, sorry about that, people. I think it should fix. I basically have to close down all my windows, but that's okay. That's all right. I can do that. So lovely people, tell me if I am, or the video rather is interviewing. Yeah, I think it happens when you switch stuff, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a pain, and I really apologize. I wish it was better, but you got to hear a little bit of music, a little bit of boppy music, so it's not all bad, I guess.
Basically, you were going against the grain, but you said something interesting about Hitler and evolution, and how you mentioned how evolution is what helped, I guess, maximize, I can't say maximize, but expand the idea of racism into people's hearts.
Hitler believed in evolution, was a strong believer. See, he read Darwin's book. Darwin's book, the title, they call it The Origin of Species. That's not the whole title, okay? Read the whole title to Darwin's book. The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. Darwin was a racist.
Yeah, so by races, Darwin was talking about different he didn't have the language structure to describe what he was talking about. He was talking of different subspecies of plants and animals. So he was sort of saying the favored races, but he just meant the favored variations, because obviously races, when applied to humans, we have different variations. That's it. Different variations. But he was talking in plants and animals. He wasn't talking in humans. But of course, never let a good lie get past you, Ken. Just keep telling those lies.
He thought black people were inferior, okay?
No, he didn't. His entire family were abolitionists, Kent. His entire family were very early on abolitionists.
And I've got Hitler's list. Give me just a second. I'll find it here. Hitler believed in evolution. Hitler, the foundation of humanism, communism, racism. Here we go. Right here. Let me call up my slides. Slide number 197. 197. I got 50,000 slides. Okay. You can get all my slides for $50 or $100 on a thumb drive if you want.
Yeah, $100 on a thumb drive. What's that? Shill number 7? Shill number 7 for Kent? He's shameless. He's absolutely shameless.
Let's see. Here's the title to Darwin's book. They don't give the whole title. The racist. Let's see. Let me get up here. Here's the title. The origin of species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life.
Yes. Yes. He didn't mean races as in race that we understand it, like human race. He meant variations in species. That's all.
Origin of species, favored races. Darwin thought natives were just advanced animals. So we're trying to fight against racism, but we're not understanding the root cause.
Yeah, he really didn't. Like, he's just taking that one word and then making stuff up. He's lying again.
Cause of it is the belief that some people are more.
Oh, but the wrong side won the Civil War, did it, Ken? Because that's what you said.
More important than others because of their skin color, which is stupid, but that's what they teach. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Darwin said,
No, nobody teaches we're different. That is not what evolution teaches, that we're different because of our skin color. That is not what it teaches in the slightest. It teaches that we're all the same species. And the best way to survive is to work cooperatively. That's what it teaches. Like, he's just lying again.
at some future period, not very distant as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man will almost certainly eliminate and replace the savage races throughout the world. From the war of nature, from famine and death, the most exalted object we're capable of conceiving, the production of higher animals, directly follow. This is all from my video number 5. This is one of the ones they hated, took me down for, okay? Well, back in 1859, when Darwin's book was published, Stephen Gould said, biological arguments.
Yeah, so Darwin predicted that. That's not what he's saying. He didn't promote it, right? He was saying that that is what would happen in the future. And basically said it wasn't right. He knew that we're all the same species. Right? He knew it was like, he didn't think that that's what should happen. He looked at what was happening throughout the world in colonialism and predicted that is what would happen. And he was a product of his time. The reason why he uses savage when we now know they're not savage is because Darwin didn't know anything. He was just a guy studying this stuff. He wasn't right about everything.
For racism might have been common before 1850, but they increased by orders of magnitude following acceptance of evolutionary theory. Thomas Huxley.
Stephen Jay Gould is the most misquoted person on the face of the planet. You know what? It's kind of weird because we didn't even know what racism was a while ago. Like, people didn't think in those terms at all. They didn't question that their superiority kind of thing.
The guy who promoted Darwin. He said, no rational man cognizant of the facts believes the average is the equal, still less the superior of the white man. But I got Hitler's list in here somewhere. The actual list he was using. Teddy Roosevelt was a racist. That's what happened to the Indians in my area in lower Alabama here. They moved all of them out there, stole their land from them, kept some of the names of the property. They renamed the city Ross's Landing, renamed it to Chattanooga.
Oh,
yeah. Is he basically saying that the Trail of Tears didn't happen and that their lands weren't stolen? I don't know what he's saying here. I don't know what this has got to do with evolution.
really?
Yeah, that's where it got its name. Let's see. Colored bathrooms, KKK, goes through all this. Hey, well, let me go back to...
You were the one saying that the South should have won, Kent. You've been saying the South should have won Like the wrong side won for ages now. Ugh.
I would have this slide ready. Right, no, Nazism. Slide number 279. Alt DV. Evolution, the foundation for the philosophy for Nazism. Let's see. Hitler, Mussolini. Hitler believed the Germans were the superior race that deserved to rule the world. The German Führer consistently sought to make the practice of Germany conform to the theory of evolution. If he believed in anything,
yeah, it's this. Like, look at the quote. A. Wilder Smith, the natural sciences know nothing of evolution, 1981. Like, he just cherry picks and takes sources from wherever he feels like backs up his opinion.
it was the law of evolution. Let's see. What Bible verses about that? Get up to Hitler's list. I got it in here.
Yeah, I'm
Somewhere.
getting sick of this guy. Oh, it's Masonic symbols now.
Oh, here we go. Georgia Guidestones, slide number 127. Alt DV 127. Enter. Outside of Elberton, Georgia, you will see the Georgia Guidestones that have the 10 Commandments for the. They did have. Okay, there it is. Huge stones. There's me standing by them. Till somebody blew them up.
By the way, that's not me cutting. That's somebody else. That's obviously the channel Deep Believer cutting him out.
A couple years ago. Okay, you read the Georgia Guidestones. Here they are. 10 Commandments. Commandment number 1: maintain humanity.
Did that say what I think it said?
Commandments for the. They did have. Okay, there it is. Huge stones. There's me standing by them. Till somebody blew them up a couple years ago. Okay, you read the Georgia Guidestones. Here they are. 10 Commandments.
That said, why are there chemtrails in the sky?
Read the Georgia Guidestones. Here they are.
Now, let me slow this down.
10 Commandments.
That definitely said why are there chemtrails in the sky?
Till somebody blew them up a couple of years ago. Okay. You read the Georgia Guidestones. Here they are. 10 Commandments.
He's showing chemtrails. Chemtrails. I mean, Jen from Deep Believer, you have a guy on talking about frigging chemtrails. He is a nut. This guy is, like, seriously. Oh my.
Commandment number 1: maintain humanity under
it was after
500
the
million.
picture. Okay. I just want to show this, that he definitely was talking about chemtrails.
10 Commandments. Commandment number.
Proof that Hovind has lost the plot. Your Honor, I'd like to submit my evidence that Kent Hovind has lost the plot. He believes in chemtrails. They're not chemtrails, Kent. They're not. They're just water vapor. That's all they are. Oh, boy. Wow. Wow.
Number 1: maintain humanity under 500 million. Wait. There's already 8 billion people on the planet. Their goal is to get a 500 million, which means 7.5 billion have to die. Of course, the guys who carved the stones, they get to be in the part that live. All right. But see, there are some people who believe man is a curse on the planet. We're harming the environment, and they're using all this environmental wacko stuff, to try to reduce the population. There's all kinds of ways to reduce the population. I simply expose this stuff on my video. I just tell the truth. Boy, they don't want to be exposed. See, they want to reduce the population of the world. It really goes back to Satan in the Garden of Eden. If you read Genesis chapter 3 and 4, when they sinned, God said, okay, serpent, you got to crawl on your belly. Well, it's not a curse to crawl on your belly if you're already crawling on your belly. So apparently he had legs or arms or both or wings or maybe all three. I don't know. And then he said to the serpent, someday some seed of the woman is going to bruise your head. Oh, and ever since that day, the devil has been trying very hard to reduce the population to get rid
through chemtrails, probably through chemtrails and I don't know, some weird person did a statue. This isn't kind of any official thing. You know, this isn't any kind of official stuff. I don't know what this is. It's just some guy made the Georgia Guidestones. Apparently they were bombed. According to the monument sponsors, the inscriptions are meant to guide humanity to conserve nature after a nuclear war, which the creators thought was an imminent threat. The inscriptions dealt with four main themes of governments and the establishment of a world government, population and reproduction controlled environment, and humankind's relationship to nature and spirituality. So it's basically, they thought that America was about to be destroyed in a nuclear holocaust, basically a nuclear war, and they were putting this up to survive it, to guide people in the future. Okay. I mean, weird, stupid, but nothing official of any kind of thing. And you know, he basically thinks it's this you know, new world order. It's a big conspiracy.
Rid of the humans. Here it is, right here. God saw everything. It was very good. Then man messed it up. See, God's plan is to fill the world with people. He told Adam and Eve, first thing, go have a bunch of kids. And that's probably the greatest drive he gave to every male of every species, is to accomplish that. Okay, go have a bunch of kids. Satan wants to reduce the population because he knows someday some seed of the woman's going to bruise his head. He doesn't know which one it is, so let's just kill them all. Okay. When Herod wanted to kill baby Jesus in Bethlehem, what did he do?
Is there any chance of that, like in your worldview, Ken, is there any chance of that not happening if Satan actually have been victorious? No, it doesn't matter what he does. And he should know that too. And there's the homophobia, birth control, homosexuality. Dude, homosexuality has been around since ancient Greek times. At least, even further into the past. Like, you are tripping.
Killed them all. Right? This is the thinking. Corrupting the seeds, so we don't have the right kind of seeds to plant. Okay. I just simply expose the truth. Nobody ever complained about what I said.
Kent would not know the truth if it leapt up and bit him on the ass. But this is all of his sort of conspiracy stuff. And I can go through it if you want, but look at this. Vaccinations.
Understand how
the cancer is man. Monsanto's busy corrupting the seeds, so we don't have the right kind of seeds to plant. Okay. I just simply expose the truth. Nobody ever complained about what I said, that it wasn't true. They just didn't like it. So that's why they arrested me. Now they're probably going to arrest me again for this program.
But Glenn Horowitz, every person in the military considered they're vaccinated. Learn what really caused Gulf War syndrome.
So
I hope not. Oh gosh, not
medical misinformation much, Kent? Maybe we should report them. Maybe we should.
say that. Okay.
The disciples just went out boldly preaching. 11 out of 12 of Jesus' disciples were killed.
Yeah, so this is why he's probably got to be cut so often by the host, because he just comes up with all of this stuff and sort of medically dangerous stuff as well.
Just for preaching the truth. The 12th one, John, according to tradition, they tried to kill him. They dipped him in boiling oil to French fry him. And he didn't kill him. So they put him on the Isle of Patmos, where he wrote the book of Revelation.
Yeah, how do you know that, Ken? I love that. Sure, maybe she does know she's being lied to. Maybe she does know she's being lied to.
I don't want to be dipped in boiling.
Well, you know what? Let's talk a little bit earlier about something you said about your mother. This is interesting. How you said your mother put you into different churches, or you rotated from different churches. You know, Episcopal and Methodist. All that.
Okay, I'm not against them. I think they're allies. They're doing some good for the cause of Christ. I'd have to disagree on some theological stuff, but the Methodist Church, ours was a pretty liberal Methodist church.
Let's have a look. Her son is done by the MMR vaccine. Satan is seeing to a world that destroying their baby's immune system. Oh my God. This is the worst stuff.
There's kind of several different flavors of those. Lutheran Church. So I've preached at all these churches. I go there and do my seminars on creation. Okay, I'm not against them. I think they're allies. They're doing some good for the cause of Christ.
Dr. Howard Ernovitz, PhD, asterisk. I'd love to know what the asterisk is actually referencing. Believes HIV is a monkey hybrid that was in the polio vaccine. Oh my God, he's an anti-vaxxer as well. Because
I'd have to disagree on some theological stuff, but there's a bigger battle.
Oh my God. He thinks the vaccines cause autism. Oh no.
During World War II, we were allies with the Russians. We disagreed with them on a bunch of stuff, but we got a bigger enemy called Hitler. So I think it's okay to. I'm definitely independent, temperamental Baptist. Okay, but I'm willing to talk to anybody on any topic from sudden infant death syndrome. You know, brother, SIDS babies, sad story. Okay, yes.
Okay, so
it really. My mom was a kindergarten teacher, and she taught me to read early and read fast, and I loved to read. Was always reading books to us. And when I was in 4th grade, I read the whole encyclopedia set. Just read the whole thing.
wow.
In 8th grade, and my dad was a genius, taught us boys everything, you know, not only how to do things, but why. Why are we doing this to the lawnmower? You know, taught us about metallurgy and different metals, and we built 9 houses and, you know, built things together. And by the time I was 20, got married when I was 20, I'm headed off on my honeymoon. My dad leans in the window, says, "Well, son, congratulations." I said, "Dad, you've taught me everything. I'm ready to make a living 20 different ways. Thank you. Well, how can I repay you?" He said, "Well, son, there's one thing I'd like you to do for me." I said, "Tell me, Dad." He said, "Do the same for your kids."
No, this is terrible.
So, that's where, when I finally was explained to me, look, if you've committed one sin, you're going to hell.
I want to get to where there we are, because he's also got
Who
predictions.
say, well, I don't believe dinosaurs are real because they only discovered the first dinosaur fossil bones in the 1800s. So what do you say about that?
Well, the word dinosaur was made up in 1841. It means terrible lizard. The Bible says before the flood came, if you read Genesis chapter 5, this is a chart I made. Before the flood came in the days of Noah, the people lived to be 900 years old.
He's probably going to sell this as well. Buy my chart. Buy my chart.
Read Genesis chapter 5. Adam was 930 when he died. Well, it's a simple biological fact that reptiles never stop growing. Reptiles grow all their life, called indeterminate growth. What would happen if a reptile, what would happen to a lizard if he could live to be 900? He'd be 40.
Yeah, no lizards are living. No humans are living to be 900, Ken.
40 feet long. The dinosaurs were big lizards with Adam and Eve. Noah took them on the ark. Probably babies. Okay, he'd be smart enough to figure out. He's 600 years old. He'd probably figure out, I don't want to.
Yeah, I've kind of had enough, and he's sort of doing the repetitive, you know, evolution bad kind of thing.
As a day. Okay. Well, it says 1,000, not million or billion. But secondly, we know that's not even talking about the creation. I think God's probably working on a 7,000-year calendar. And it goes with my chart here. 6,000 years ago was the creation. Jesus came. Here we are today. There's a Bible promises a 1,000-year period in the future called the millennium. Milli means 1,000, like a millipede or millimeter. There's still 1,000 years coming, the millennium. I think God's working on a 7,000-year calendar. And we're just about at the end of day 6. And it's going to get really bad.
Yeah,
it's going to get really good.
This is his doomsday. So
it could be that the 1,000 years as a day is referring to the.
This is his doomsday prediction. He probably got onto it. I really wanted to see whether he would get into his doomsday predictions kind of thing.
Bigger picture of human history, period. But we know the days of creation cannot be 1,000 years. On day 3, God made the plants. On day 4, he made the sun. How long can the plants live with no sun?
Not even one day. They can't. I don't.
On day 5, he made the birds, and they pollinate the plants. The order of creation makes the day-age theory completely stupid.
Yeah, I think I'm about done with this guy. Yeah, so really, I just wanted to show the. I don't, Robin. I don't know who Mandessa is. I don't know who that is. I have no idea. No idea. But yeah, go for it. I can probably find you the clip or send or like put the video in a my Google Drive for you to look at. That shouldn't be a problem. But Yeah, I just wanted to show this to show the amount of ridiculous lies this man tells in such a short amount. He could lie for his country, quite frankly. He has a gift for falsehood. And you know, it's not like I just went, oh, nah. I have the court transcripts. I've got the places where he said, I have not paid taxes in 28 years. I've got where he has said, I wasn't part of a 501c3. That alone shows that he was not employing people. He was employing people and he was pocketing the profits, not running any kind of tax-exempt religious organization. That alone is damning. The fact that a person, an employee, testified that he knew what the structuring laws were and was keeping them under $10,000 to avoid paying taxes. One of his own people testified that he knew exactly what the law was as regards to structuring. He's just a liar. He's a liar. And the fact that he says, oh, it was only structuring, he knows damn well it was structuring. It was with failure to withhold, and it was obstruction of the agents in their duties. He knows damn well it wasn't just structuring, but he'll continue to lie, even though the skeptics and the people that, you know, not just myself, but also Christian people can prove that he is lying. He will still do it because he doesn't care about the truth. He cares about whether he can get people to, in my opinion, he cares whether he can get people to send him money. He just wants money. But yeah, I think after seeing those slides, and I didn't even notice them when I skimmed through this, because really I don't usually watch Kent stuff, deep depth kind of stuff. It really makes me irritated because he's just lying all the time. He says these things. He's insulting. He's rude. He's obnoxious. He's just a horrible human being. So I didn't know he had that kind of thing. And as a person on the autism spectrum, it annoys me that he's putting that about. So I think I will be reporting them. I encourage you to do the same. The link for Jen's channel is in the description. The link for Kent's I will put in the description. The link to where he put it up, I will put in the description, because he doesn't deserve to have this platform if that's the kind of if he's doing stuff on vaccines and even slides saying, hey, don't get vaccine. That's dangerous. There's a reason why there's been sort of measles outbreaks and things like that. We need to refer to doctors and medical professionals, not ex-felons and currently convicted people, for our medical information. It's ridiculous. Give me 1 second and I'll get the link. But it's interesting how he says, oh, they're going to come after me for this as well. You know what you're doing is wrong. The thing is, in order to have a YouTube channel, you made an agreement with, well, Google is the company, that you would abide by their terms of service. But contracts and agreements don't mean much to Kent. I found that, especially when debating him, you would make an agreement, one topic at a time. I would make sure that goes for him as well. Do we have an agreement? And he'll agree to it, but he has no intention of following up on what he says, because he is dishonest, because he cannot be honest about things. I will update everything now. But that's my opinion of that. And sort of, I did probably more research than I needed to. It's easy to say, hey, Kent's a liar, but that's not what I have done, right? I have actually gone and found where he has lied, and found evidence of how he's lied, and by his own words, he was guilty. He was absolutely guilty of this. He said he wasn't a 501c3, and he said that he hadn't paid taxes for 28 years. He admitted to that on video. But yeah, he doesn't, chemtrails and these other conspiracy theories and this whole hogwash about, they're after your DVDs is just pure narcissism. He thinks he is important enough that they want to take him down. They don't, nobody cares, nobody cares what you've got to say about evolution. They don't have to, you look dumb enough. Nobody has to take him down. So yeah, I wanted to show that and just show what a liar this man is. Just all the stuff that he said that is blatantly untrue, and provide the court documents and his own words to show that he is a liar. So when he says, I was done for something called structuring, no, not true. That's only one of the things he was done for, also withholding taxes and also obstruction of federal agents and the IRS. You can see he's a sovereign citizen. He said, I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm not a tax protester. In his own words, he is. He has said this on multiple occasions. And just because he says, I'm not a tax protester, he is. Because he protests paying tax that he is exempt because he is not the incorporated capital letter Kent Hovind, that sovereign citizen argument. He outlined it himself. So he is, regardless of what he says. It's like saying, well, I'm not a bigot because I think, hassling trans people is perfectly acceptable. We don't care what you think. You don't care if you don't think that fits the description. It is the description. And he'll even argue with the judges over what structuring actually means. He thinks he has a better idea of the law than the courts, the lawyers, the judges, and the 11th Circuit expert. He honestly thinks, I don't know about honestly, actually, but for some reason he thinks he has this grasp on it all. And his grasp on the legal system is just about as good as his grasp on evolution. Abysmal. He doesn't understand the first thing about it. So I guess Dunning-Kruger in action. But yeah, it's been great to have you all here. What's coming up for me? So tomorrow night, Eastern time, and tomorrow morning, I'm having my 2000 celebration, 2,000 subscribers. Who would have thunk it? And I want to thank everybody so much. It means so much to me that everybody, if please come and we'll just chill out, have some games, have some fun, talk some stuff, discuss just normal stuff instead of liars like Kent Hovind. How dare you, Dean? How dare you? Look, I know we sent you Ken Ham. Stop. No, we're not taking Hovind in return. That's unfair. That's grossly unfair. We are not a penal colony anymore. We refuse to take your horrendous criminals. So yeah, that's tomorrow. On Sunday, I have the debate review with Ember, debate dissections, which is going to be fantastic because it's on the O'Connor versus D'Souza debate, which was apparently fiery and really cool. I haven't seen it. I want to see it for the first time with all of you, get a unfiltered reaction. And I want to thank Robin so much for suggesting that one. That came via Robin Webster, the amazing Robin Webster, gorgeous as usual. And yeah, so that's Saturday night, my Sunday morning. Sorry, time zones are a bit, out of it. I do have a debate on modern day debate against evidence for God on human evolution on trial, which is great, fantastic. More debates. I did have a debate coming up with Praise I Am on mutation and natural selection, but Praise has decided that I have offended him somehow. I don't know how. Apparently him talking in his own room, me posting that is offensive, and has decided to pull out of that debate. I'll tell you how that goes. I'll leave it up for the moment, but I'll tell you how that goes. that might be cancelled, because if you do an apology live, I'll reconsider. Really, if I do an apology live, I'm not sure for what. It put apology for what? Well, I mean, if he's upset, I am sorry I used like the thumbnail and title. I basically, what was the title? Title was Praise's Pet Sewer Rat, I think. But I mean, I wasn't calling him a sewer rat. I was calling the guy who was a bigot towards trans people a sewer rat. I don't know. Well, I'm sorry to Praise. Apparently, he's offended. He's very offended that I did something. I'm not sure what I did. Is it because I think that people that are bigoted towards trans people are bigots? Is that the problem? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure, but I will keep you posted on that one. I'll post in my community tab. So if you want, hit the bell and you will get the community updates and things like that. And you'll get updates. You know, if I find someone to replace Praise, I'll just go ahead without him. He's not unexpendable or anything. You know, I sort of recall him once, well, on more than once, hassling my lack of hair. And once he plastered my face on, it was on a band doing some song kind of thing, and he plastered my face on it, and to mock me kind of thing. And I actually found it quite funny. It was kind of hilarious. And the other people's faces on it was people like Dr. Dan Cardinal and Aaron Ra and people like that. So I actually felt in good company. But yeah, I think Praise a little scared. So I'm sorry you're scared, Praise. I'm sorry you're scared. Do you feel better? Maybe I'll do that as an apology. I'm sorry that I frighten you. I'm sorry that you're wrong and can't stand up for your beliefs. I'm sorry that you can't debate with the big leagues. I'm sorry, Praise. I'm so sorry. Anyway, yeah, so that's what's coming up to me. It's a full week. But yeah, I will let you know what's happening. Yeah, no, I agree. Master Splinter was freaking awesome, absolutely awesome. Although he was a mutated sewer rat, so I'm not sure if that makes a difference. Not sure there. Yeah, but anyway, take care, everybody. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other, and have a fantastic day. I love to see you in the future. So do like, subscribe. Hey, if you've got any problems, or if you want to update me about anything that Hovind's doing, just leave a comment. I always read them. I may not respond. I've been really busy, but I do read them. I definitely do. But take care, everybody, and I will see you in the next one.